Greetings collectors and welcome to today's episode. I've got a rather memorable game today to look back at, Ninja Warriors for the Sega CD. So, is it worth adding to your collection? Let's find out. Originally a 1987 arcade release by Taito, Ninja Warriors was later ported to the Sega CD in 1993. However, this was a Japanese system exclusive, so wasn't found on the Sega systems elsewhere in other regions. To get your hands on this one, you will either have to import directly from Japan or go via the auction sites. In addition, you will need the Japanese hardware to play this one. The game comes in a standard jewel case as was normal for Japanese releases at the time. The front cover artwork here is really nice, with our heroes pulling some awesome ninja poses. The rear of the box gives an outline of the game and highlights that the soundtrack was performed by Zuntata, Taito's legendary in-house band. Inside the case there's not too much to shout about, just a standard manual and the game disc. The manual is a good quality print and supports the game well. The game starts out with a very long cutscene explaining that our ninjas are actually cyborg ninjas, sent on a mission to bring back order to the city. The voice acting here is typically over the top and really cheesy, but it does set the scene for the game.
It has been decided. The revolution will begin operations in 7 days. We've examined countless strategies from every angle possible and narrowed it down to the best 3.
So, the first thing you'll notice is just how slow your ninja moves. The general aim here is to progress from left to right, so limited speed is a bit of a hindrance. From either side the enemy will appear, usually military with different palette swaps, but occasionally attack dogs and these strange hunchback ninja robots. You're armed with a simple blade as your main weapon, but also have a limited number of throwing stars. These are particularly useful for certain boss fights. The boss fights range from anything from powered up ninjas to full-sized army tanks. Most of the trash mobs in the game are one-hit kills, and it's quite satisfying to slash through the hordes of attackers. However, the enemy only seems to make 2 different screams when killed, so it does get a little repetitive. As does some of the gameplay itself. The general theme is stab the attackers, turn round, stab the attackers behind you, and then walk on a few paces, and then repeat the action. Ninja Warriors plays very similarly to Green Beret or Russian Attack, depending on which region you played it. It has some of the same gameplay issues as Green Beret too. At times you can be attacked simultaneously from both sides, making it near impossible not to take damage. Graphically, the game is quite well done, and I have no major complaints. There's certainly better looking games on the system, but this game has chosen to try and replicate the earlier arcade aesthetic. The way your ninja degrades as they get injured adds to the overall look of the game. In the sound department, it's a bit of a mixed bag. The sound effects are few and far between, and if I'm honest, don't really live up to the standard you would expect from a CD-based game. The music, however, is a completely different story. Taito's Zuntata band have created a memorable soundtrack, and the CD is well worth a listen even on its own. In many ways it feels that the game is really a music album with the average game added on as a bonus. I highly recommend checking out Zuntata's work. It's no wonder that the case gave so much space to the band rather than the game. Overall, the game is at best only average. It's fun for a while, but the repetitive nature and overpowered boss fights somehow suck the fun from what should be an enjoyable experience. If you're thinking of collecting this one, don't expect to pick this one up cheaply. As it stands at the moment here in the UK, expect to pay anywhere between £50 and £100. That's roughly $70 to $150. The price of the game is a combination of being a Japanese exclusive, an original Zuntata album, and the general volume of copies available. On a side note, the SNES PAL region version of the game currently has an asking price of £500, which really is quite expensive for an older title. That's around $700 US. For a much better option, if you would like to get this game in your collection, try the Commodore Amiga version at just £9.99. It's faster, brighter, and the sound is actually much better. This game is as it should be, extra detail and much more graphic blood, and the sound effects have also been added to. As for the Japanese Sega CD exclusive, well, it's down to a matter of vanity, I'm afraid. I obviously have this one in my collection, but it's more of what I would call a trophy piece. It's largely just a semi-rare game that I have for display. I'm certain I would part with my copy for the right price. Having said that, I don't want to sound too harsh on the game. It is more than playable, the 2-player mode adds extra fun, and the soundtrack is outstanding. I think that if you're set on completing a Taito game collection or a Zuntata fan, this is a must-buy game. If you're more of a casual retro collector looking for a gem, I would steer clear of this one, and go for the overall better package on the Commodore Amiga. One thing that is worth mentioning as a last note is that the Sega CD version has the rather creepy Zuntata music video prologue, which can be accessed via the main menu. It's one of the strangest extras you're going to find on the Sega CD. I'll play you out with a sample.
It's an intriguing song. What's it called?
Daddy Mark.
Daddy Mark. The song's called Daddy Mark.
Yes.
Of course! Daddy Mark must be the answer. They've decided to go with the Mark plan. Starting tomorrow, we'll leave everything to our 2 dolls. And our live show will begin.
Hello again, I hope you enjoyed today's show and thank you for the view. Remember, you can always comment, like, subscribe and find us on the social media sites below. Happy collecting!